Hello there, how are you all doing? Hope you are doing good. So, today I am here with a concept which is not that much used, but still I feel is quite important, right? Because all the modern days programmers, especially Python programmers, do use it a lot. So, let me talk about what I'm really going to get you through. It's all about object deconstruction. Yes, you have heard it right. It's object deconstruction. So let me actually get you to the concept of what is basically deconstruction. Okay, so it's object deconstruction. Now, object deconstruction is just the opposite of object construction, right? I think you're aware of constructors. It is just the opposite of constructor. It's a small topic, but it will give you a lot of edge. So what's really this? For that, let me quickly create a Visual Studio project, a console application project. I'll call it Deconstruction, okay, demo, right? So I'm going for .NET 9. We create. I never knew that such a feature really existed in C Sharp, but this is really a great feature. It can really save a lot of your time. Let's create a class person, and let us have some private variables, maybe private int person ID, private string person name, and I can keep one more, maybe private string address, okay, or the location, whatever. All right. So now you know how to construct an object with it. So for that we need a constructor, right? I hope that you already know what constructor is. If you don't know, please go check out my other videos. And for those who don't know, who am I? I am an online one-to-one trainer. I do take C Sharp classes. So if you or anyone is interested to take one-on-one classes with me, you can definitely give me a tinkle. The phone numbers and all are given in the description section below. So yeah. So now let this be a class, and we would like to be having a constructor. How can I quickly create the constructor? It's super easy. Just select those private variables, right click on it, go for quick actions and refactoring, and then just click on generate constructor. That creates the constructor instantly. Visual Studio is really great, amazing. So that we have now a constructor which has got three important parameters, okay, person ID, person name, and address. So these are the external parameters which is helpful to initialize the internal member space, right? That is all about the fundamentals of object creation. Hope you definitely know that before you have come to this particular lecture. Okay, so now let me create a person object. Person p equals to, you know it, new person, right? And let me create some default data. Let me have the person ID as 100, person name as my name, Sudipto, and person address as, okay, India, fine. And now you know that you can do anything else after that. Maybe you can be calling some methods, you do something, you can do many things. Now you already, but let's say you already have this object initialized. Now you know that object can be initialized later after it was born. Maybe that you can put some data into it using some function or anything. My main aim is to show you that how, if an object already exists, how can you deconstruct the value into different variables. Okay, so let me get you through. Now at this point of time, if I really want to print that what is exactly in p dot id, now for that you have to be creating a property, right? So what I mean to say is that Let's say you want to be printing p.id. Can you do that? Can you do it? p.id like person ID? You can't because it is already private. Look at this. You can't. This person ID is already private. You can't just get it so easily. It will complain that person.person ID is inaccessible due to its protection level. So what all you are left to is to expose it via a property. So let's do that real quick if you don't know that. But this is not the main aim of this video. Okay, I just want to show you that you can't just get a direct access to the person ID or anything because they're private. But for that, you need to be creating a property. You might know that. So prop, then integer, maybe I can just have person ID. Okay, I just like to be exposing the person ID. In that sense, we might want to just create the get method. Probably know that we can just shortcut it by writing return, or we can just write person ID. Okay, if you do that, it is just going to be getting you all the person ID, right? You just have to be writing the whole one. Sometimes I even forget the syntax, never mind. So I was trying to get into some shortcut, but no problem. Okay, return this dot person ID. Definitely no. Oh, I think I did a mistake here. Person ID. Yeah, person ID. So this way you can really return the person ID, right? You know that. I know that you definitely know this very well. So this is the way in which we can return the person ID, and then of course you can use the property to read the person ID. In the same way, you have to be exposing a person name and person address, right? So the same thing has to be done for person name, person address. What if I tell you that there is a way by which you can still read the person ID without defining any property or even without any method, right? There are two syntaxes by which you can get back your private data. You can't just directly do that because it is private. So you need either to expose to a property, or maybe that you can have a function. Like let's say you can expose a function as well, like int get person ID. Okay, person ID, and then probably you can just write return this dot person ID, right? So there are two distinct ways to return the private values of an object, either through a property syntax or through a function syntax, right? You can actually get it in multiple lines. I really don't like to write everything in a single line. Okay, right? Now here I have not used the setter, only the getter, right? Because I don't want someone to set it. I really want it to be set through the constructor or well, through some function, maybe some setter functions. Okay, I don't want it to be like set directly. All right, so you now know that either you can use properties to get my private data or some function. Both can do the job very easily. So that means you can either write this dot person ID, or you can write console dot write line p dot get person ID. Now, I could have directly taught you deconstruction, but before that, I want to be creating you know, some scenario like when and what it will really be useful. So first, would like to show you that what if we don't use deconstruction. So this is a usual way, right? So I have a person object having my ID, my name, and my location. All right, and then you want to be printing the person ID. For that, you really need to be either exposing these private fields using either a property or a function. Both are fine, right? So let me run and show you that yes, my private person ID is exposed both through your property as well as function, right? Now, if you are not getting it through, that means you don't have a proper understanding of functions or properties. Please make sure that you can pause the video right now, can get back, look into some other tutorial, either some other YouTube tutorial or maybe mine. All right, now the master stroke, how to use deconstruction. Now, deconstruction is just opposite of construction, okay? And you need to be writing the deconstruction method. Yes, let me write it. Public void deconstruct. Do not do any spelling mistake. It has to be deconstruct like that. and it has got void as return type. Okay, and then very interesting, I am going to be composing some variables. Let me copy whatever I had here. Okay, now this time deconstruction is an opposite process. So these variables will be out parameter, and this is another thing that if you don't know what out parameters are, you can go check my other of my content. So out parameters. Out parameters are another way for a function to return value. Okay. So a function can return value in two ways, either through its proper return statement or through its out parameters. Okay. There are two ways a function can return. So it can either return through its standard return syntax, right? We write return something, okay, return something, correct? So that way we can return something, or you can set out those out parameters and then automatically we have got three returns. So out parameter is our additional returns out of a function. So a function usually has got one return. That's the usual return, please understand. So function can return one thing. A function cannot return more than one thing, it can just return one at a time. But if you really want to be returning multiple things, you need the out parameters. Now, if you're thinking that out parameters are similar to ref parameters, yes, they're kind of. Okay, but there are differences. We will save that discussion for some other topic. So what we now need to do is that we just need to be setting those out parameters from our object members. So it's just the opposite one. We just need to write this dot person ID and then person name equals to this dot person name, brilliant, and then the address equals to this dot address, right? So we have done the opposite one. So deconstruct is a function that has to be there within a class for the deconstruction facility to work. I'm just going to show you that how this amazingly makes the data accessibility simpler. Okay, you don't have to be going for creating those properties or methods if you really don't want to. Okay, if you don't want to, don't do that, no problem. All right, so how can I now get back my data? Okay, first of all, let me comment them using multi-line comment. Now, ready, steady, go. Let me show you how is it possible to get back these data into our variables. And for that, we just write a var, and then I just write a comma b comma c. Okay, just create three variables. You can name it anything, and then equals to, hold your breath, done. Deconstruction done. It's done. Look at it. At this time, the A will automatically be integer, B will automatically be string, and C will automatically be string. It is just falling along the the same sequence. So I should be rightfully be calling it, instead of A, I can call it PID, maybe the person ID, this is the person name, and this is the location, P lock for location or address, PADDR. You can name it anything. Okay, just wanted to have it shortened. This very feature is so much precious, it will save so much of your time. This is known as deconstruction, and this is only working because you have provided this function. If I comment it, it's going to bleed immediately. Great, isn't it? Just take a moment, just look at it. This feature has already been there from C# 7.0. Okay, from C# 7.0. Okay, this feature is already there. So you can use this deconstruction function to get back the data from the belly of the object, okay, from deep inside the object, and construct it back on the regular variables. You can just write var PID, PNAME, PADDR, and just make sure that you write them in parentheses, and automatically the system picks up the data and puts them inside these left hand side variables in the same sequence, right? In the same sequence. I mean, so far you might have seen syntax like this: x equals to some function call. So it is always some variable equal to something. You have never seen like x comma y comma z equals to something, right? This syntax is very preferably used in Python, right? I found this syntax first getting used in Python. I was so excited, and I thought, why isn't .NET having this feature? But it's my bad. I never knew that C Sharp already has this. There are quite a bit of like features in C Sharp which is so much handy, which are wonderful. Okay, now this deconstruction is used so much in C Sharp records. I'm just going to save that discussion in another of my upcoming videos. Records in C Sharp, which is so much used these days. So yes, it's not just records who use deconstruction feature. The deconstruction is inbuilt into the C Sharp language from C Sharp 7.0. Okay, so now, yeah, if you want to prove that, yeah, I mean, are they really worth it? Do I really have the values? You can prove it. Just print it. You can just write person ID equals to PID. Let me give some colon. Okay, Control D, Control D. Control D immediately copies a line below. The person's name is the P name, and the person's location, the address, whatever you can call it, is the person address. There we go. Let me run it and show you that the construction has been achieved. Great. Look at this. So that means I constructed the object using a constructor. I intended to get some value of that object, but I could not because they are already private. I cannot do that. Once you name them as private, even if you don't write private, they already become private. That is by default. All the variables, all the member variables are private by default. But it is good to write it explicitly. It looks good. So since they're private, you can't access it. So one of the ways to expose via property or via function. But if I tell you don't need any one of them, you can just write a deconstruct mechanism just once. You have to be doing this once, of course. Just have to be doing this once. If you do that, then this is automatic. This is a brilliant piece, a real nugget of knowledge. Okay. Now, one thing. What if you think that this object may contain many such fields, maybe 5, 10 fields, and I don't need all of them. I don't need all of them. Let's say I just need the person's ID and the person's name. I don't really need to know the address. You can just discard it by giving a underscore and then never have to print this address. So this is also supported. This is great, man, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant. You can really see it's 100 and Sudipto coming up, but you still need to be giving an underscore, right? Still need to give an underscore. Let me tell you one thing: you can still overload your deconstructor. Yeah, I just did tell you deconstructor. Yeah, it's the deconstructor, correct? You can still overload a deconstructor. How come? Let's say that I am just going to be having a deconstruction function having just two of them. I really don't want to be having the address. Then I even don't have to be giving that underscore. So in that case, I really don't have to give that underscore. Okay? And it just works because you are now using an overloaded version of deconstruction. Right? So that's it. Right? But one thing I should be warning you, which I experimented and I found that it doesn't work. Now you cannot just have, you can definitely have a deconstruct function with changing the signature. C# is going to allow you. Let's say I want to change the sequence. The first is a string, the second is an integer. The C# won't just disallow you. It is absolutely fine to change the parameters because it then becomes another overloaded deconstruction. But look at this now. It starts bleeding. So make sure that when you are using deconstruction, the number of parameters is very important. Because when you do something like that, the system just wants to check that what deconstructor has exactly 2 parameters. So even though C# is allowing this, okay, I mean allow three functions with all different signatures, you already know that this is a feature of object-oriented feature. There will be any kind of object-oriented language that you can change the parameters, and that becomes another overloaded version. But deconstruction won't work, right? I was playing around, and I found that. So I found that why not to tell you guys, right? So make sure that when you are deconstructing, you should not be creating two functions with the same number of parameters, even though the signature don't match, right? So I have to be taking this off, right? That won't really work. All right, so that was it. Now I just got a little note for you. The deconstruction works for tuples. Deconstruction works for, you can see how nice, right? So you can just write Alice comma 25. There is no such class involved. This is a tuple example. Okay, I might save this this PDF format. I mean this note in the description below so that you can also have it. Maybe that I will upload this note into my website, and you can have that there too. So the deconstruction can be done from tuples, deconstruction can be done from records, and what's best is that you can also loop using deconstruction. Look at this code. That you can have a new list of, you can just say name comma int. So this is a tuple, and you can just say that, okay, I want this guy. Okay, so this is just a tuple, of course, you just understand that. And then you can foreach through and deconstruct every time and get it into name and age. Okay, this is a tuple. You understand that, right? If you don't understand, no problem. You can look into the web, search for tuples. But my aim was not to go through all of them, just that I have some notes made out. Okay, just want to show you. And you can also do deconstruction for pattern matching, and this is brilliant. Look at this. If emp is this guy, so emp is, so that means if the employee already got his name as John and department as IT, and the salary will automatically be saved in sal, and also the salary is more than 40,000, you can say it's a high paid employee. You don't worry if you don't understand it. So just try to get, like you'll not be able to understand everything together. Try to use this new feature. With time, you'll get it more. Okay. So it was introduced in 7.0. And the key feature is that deconstruction is also known as unpack. Okay. Yeah, it's unpacking. So it means that the deconstruct feature in C# allows you to split or unpack an object's properties into separate variables in a single step, making you to use your code more reliable and concise. That's the basic stuff with deconstruction. Okay, so hope you had a good time watching this short video. Please leave a comment if you want to know something more. So that is it. Your own one-to-one trainer. Let me know if you want to join my classes. I'll be more than happy to see you online. Take care. Bye-bye.